My name is Navid Khavari. I'm the Narrative Director. When you're working on Star Wars, there's always going to be that mix of excitement and trepidation. I let myself be nervous and freak out and overwhelmed for about a week. But once I got over that hump, you kind of naturally fall into this mode of what are we bringing that's new to Star Wars. The opportunity to tell a story within the underworld around a character like Kay as a scoundrel thief. You shift, from maybe it being daunting or overwhelming to the excitement of you get to tell a new story within this galaxy and, with someone who is relatable, who's kind of authentic, who honestly has nothing to do with this big struggle between the Empire and the Rebellion. And so very organically, the story and I think the game itself kind of flowed from that, which was incredibly exciting. We've had a lot of freedom with Lucasfilm, and I think it's important to look at it from the angle of this is a side of the era that we've only really seen explored in the comic books. So we were coming at it also with our own expertise of building open world games, and Lucasfilm has this super rich narrative and storytelling and fabric that they can bring as well. So it really was a very organic coming together moment. They were there absolutely as sort of a resource, guiding hand, making sure that we were always pushing ourselves to take this story as far as we could go. But we were very much in the driver's seat, and that was incredibly exciting. It was refreshing and, something that I'll actually cherish for a long time. It's the first real time in a Star Wars game that you get to jump on a speeder and blast across the open world and always have something to discover on the other side. It's where you can hop off your speeder and walk into a really bustling city filled with life, filled with arcade machines, sabacc tables that you can play at, cantinas where you can talk to new and interesting characters, to the fact that you can hop into your starship and blast into space and get into a dogfight. When we first got the hyperspace, hyperdrive working in the game, we were just jumping from planet to planet to planet because it just felt so good. So I really see it as the sum of its parts. There are all these new interesting elements that we've tried to bring to the fore, and then you put it together and it's, wow, I'm actually stepping into a Star Wars open world. And I can't even put my finger on what that feeling is, but it feels natural and organic and good. We have really tried to focus on having a scope, a sense of scale that is really epic. And I think not so much, we always try to approach it not so much in terms of size, but density as well. In terms of the amount of characters that you're gonna run into, the storytelling you're gonna run into, the syndicates themselves, that you get to play off of each other, to the fact that every time you go off that sort of beaten path, the main story, and I tell this to everyone I talk to, the main story is there as sort of a lighthouse for you to pull through, but the secret sauce of our game is that we have factored in the open world and the fact that you're going to go off that beaten path as much as possible. And so even when you're jumping into space and you'll stumble into a dogfight, or you'll find some interesting new items that you can use, you can pick up and acquire, or jump to another planet or moon, land, and discover a whole new community. Those are sort of aspects that I think, in terms of giving you freedom and absolute freedom, where you're not sort of on a rail of I need to continue this story to get where I need to go. I think that's what makes it really feel like a true open world, right? That you are going to be rewarded with your curiosity to go off the beaten path. It's dream come true stuff to even feel like we might have remotely left our mark, on this period of time. in the galaxy. I would love to see what could be done with it even further. But I think, our focus always was, how can we honor, what came before? How can we honor the films, even going back to the original inspirations of George Lucas at the time, to what are we bringing that's new? And that kind of had to be the focus in order for us to be able to move forward and feel like we're putting our own stamp on the galaxy, so to speak. Well, I went to, and as a team, we really went back to old westerns, honestly, samurai films, and some were inspirations to Lucas, but even going beyond that to sort of those old John Ford, westerns and sort of these iconic films that had a clear aesthetic and sort of elegant simplicity to them that we were trying to capture. I think, the other side of it is also the old sort of matinee films. You saw, there were some from the 50s and 60s, but even you saw that growing up in the 80s as well, that, we really were trying to avoid that sort of grim, dark feeling that you might be drawn to with a sort of modern scoundrel tale. And really we wanted to capture the simplicity of some of those early sort of westerns and samurai films, but also the joy and thrill of being in a matinee, action adventure. What I'm proudest of with Star Wars Outlaws is really that feeling of stepping into Star Wars. That feeling, I think we've really landed on the fact that when you walk into this open world, you are going to feel like you're part of this galaxy. And that's why I say, yes, there is the main path, there is the main journey, but go off it. Just go explore. Take the time to pick up a different quest that's outside of that. Meet an expert. Do some, jumps on your speeder. I think that's what I'm actually most proud of, is we really left no stone unturned in developing this. If I could do this again, where would I like to take it?
Yeah.
You'll never know. That's something that we have done. This is a dream project, and I can truly say everything, I myself and I believe the team set out to accomplish with this story, we've been able to do. And then as for the future, I can never speak to that. There's a sniper or something out there, and it's really interesting because we're getting that question a lot. And what's surreal for me is that, we're finishing the game. It's actually coming out. So.